So now we are into block 2 of OD. So, so what we have actually done until now is we went through a definition of OD, a very high conceptual framework of OD. When we say high conceptual framework, we just talked about what is global organizations or worldwide organizations are, right? And then we talked about first order change and second order change and various processes that are involved in the change. Okay, so the next block really talks about various whatever the things that we learned in this as the processes, right? So these are the ones which are being elaborated in this particular thing. So kind of whatever the, actually speaking, OD covers end-to-end organization. That is what we actually learned. So these are some of the major processes which are like part of it. So here the second block mainly covers from the point of view of what exactly, the belief and values related aspect, especially the change and how you can actually improve the participation, how you can actually empower, how to improve team and those kind of things, right? So the first unit, we are going to go through first unit of second block. We are going to go through participation and empowerment. Okay, in the other unit, we talked about participative management. If you remember, participative management is different from participation. So in case if there is a question that comes on participative management, we are supposed to write from the other unit, which is unit 4 does have in block 1. Okay, so this is on the participation. What is the difference? Participative management is talking about making people participate in managing the company. So they are part of management, taking the strategic decisions. Here we are talking about people participating in the work that is being done by the company, right? They feeling the ownership of the work that are they are involved in the work that is being done. They are involved in aligning their particular goals towards the organization. So that is what this participation is. So this is not the strategy participation, right? It could, strategy could be one of the aspect. Yes, probably if you think that you need to involve people in coming up with the strategy, you could probably involve, but this is mainly concentrating on overall participation, right? That was actually concentrating on participative thing in the management. Okay, so now the way that questions would come here is, okay, so we have number of questions that comes. So this is one of the important units. So so how it is organized, right? So we are going to learn what is participation, and then we are going to understand what are the benefits of participation, right? And what are the factors, what is the process, how you are going to actually increase the participation, what are the success factors in it, and if you have to promote the participation, what kind of things that you could do. Okay, same ditto you will do for empowerment as well. Okay, so we are going to read, so you can divide this unit into two parts. One is participation part and the other is empowerment part. So what is participation? It is mental and emotional involvement of person in group situation. That means when there is a teamwork that is going on, okay, and that encourage them to contribute towards group goals, right? Those common goals, and share responsibility with the other team members in the group. Basically what we are saying is a person is getting involved both mentally and emotionally, not in his own work, in the group work, right? So, and he is feeling he is part of that group, and he is having a responsibility to make sure that the goals of the group is met. So that is what is the participation means, right? So it is not mental and emotional involvement of person's goal, it is group goals, right? So so the managers who adopt this particular strategy, they would actually involve their subordinates in the problem solving, decision making, and various other activities, so that they feel that responsibility. Okay. And most important elements of participation, getting involved is the first and foremost thing. Contributing after getting involved is the second foremost thing. And the third thing is responsibility. So you need to actually have that responsibility feeling. So these are the three elements. So if there is any, so when it comes to concept of participation, if the question is about concept of the participation, this first paragraph, whatever that you are seeing, is the one which we need to write. So things that you need to do is the definition part of it, and the three elements are the main things that you need to put as points. Okay. So so it is effective when superiors and managers doesn't possess enough information to solve a problem. So basically, right, when the things are not really clear for the manager as well, it is very useful for this kind of a technique, because maybe your subordinates would actually know it better than you, right? Maybe it's a complex problem that can be solved together. Okay, so this is another way of thinking. The participation is good for even managers. It's not just about the employees who feel the responsibility, right? So I remember in a lot of leadership meets, especially when there is a difficult question that is asked, one strategy these leaders would actually do is they will say, okay, what do you suggest? Is the question that they will pose you back. They will not tell the answer. They will say, okay, so what should we do? Right. So this is kind of like that. Right. So now we are going into benefits of participation. I think most of the benefits are very ordinary and clear for us, right? So it is going to improve the commitment. It is going to make change very easy because now people are involved in it. It is going to improve the productivity, morale, job satisfaction, right? Organizational citizenship, so they feel more belong to the organization. It will have a better communication within the organization, right? And employees are aware of what exactly are the things where organization is going. So these are some of the benefits. So benefits is also an important question. The concept, benefits. So we went through two questions here. Right now, what is the process of participation? Right. So actually speaking, so participation is actually something which you are everything and anything that you really require to do to make sure that the employees are mentally and emotionally involved, and they have that particular freedom, and they feel the responsibility of the outcome related to it. Okay. So so what are the factors, what is going to make it successful, right? So first, so so as Ritika told before as well, this cannot be a hurried process. You cannot really expect people, right? Aaj bole kal aage wo log participate karne ke liye. It doesn't really happen that. You need to actually prepare. You need to probably wait for things to really happen. So any urgent things would not really work out in this kind of a mechanism, right? So it is something which you require time, right? And you are very clear what is what your participation is going to really improve on, right? So you need to have that particular benefits clearly in your mind as a manager, saying that okay, now I am improving the participation. So what I am, my objective is, right? Am I actually improving their satisfaction or productivity, or what exactly are the things that I am looking at, right? So, and especially you're tapping into that group attitude. So basically you are, so there are a lot of trade unions that really come into picture in the typical industrial thing, right? So improving the participation means you are actually, uh, so getting into that particular attitude of trade union, so which is actually beneficial, right? And you are having an open communication, and and people are really aware of the goal, and you are actually preparing themselves towards that particular goal, whatever that is achieved out of this particular participation. So these are some of the factors related to success, right? So now we are going into what are the programs that you are going to do to promote participation. So there are various programs which we have talked even before. Some of them we are very, very aware of it, right? Quality circles. I think all of us know what quality circles is, because now people are participating in the quality initiative, they feel ownership. Total quality management. Here you are actually creating the quality which is like people oriented. They are part of your entire, quality related management aspect, right? So self-managing teams. Okay, so this is also something which is very, very evident term. We are talking about teams who doesn't really require any other supervision. They can manage by themselves. They are independent, right? If you make those particular teams, obviously you're talking about people participating, right? Participative and consultative management. So they are two terms. One is participative management. Participative management, we already talked about participative management, in other units, right? So basically, you are making people participate in your management aspects, right? And so you are actually strategizing. You are making people part of your thing. So and also you are empowering them so that they can actually do certain things. Consultative management is slightly different. Consultative management means here you are just taking ideas from people. So you are not really asking them to come and join, let's do together. Right? Participative management is okay, come and join, let's do together. Whereas consultative management is बोलो हमको क्या करना है, right? And then we doing it based on whatever the consultancy that we got from the people, right? So that is what is consultative management. Both would be, I mean, the programs of participation itself both would improve the participation. Obviously, I mean, even after consulting, that is enough for people to feel that, oh yeah, this is my area which I gave to my manager, right? So that kind of a thing would be there. So consultative management doesn't mean that there is no participation. There is a participation, but it is a different way of letting employees participate, right? So in order to do all these things, obviously organization will have that particular culture set up. So that culture of involving people needs to be there to get these things done, right? Survey feedbacks. This is another program where you are asking feedback using survey mechanism. So survey feedbacks we went through in the block 1 unit 4. Okay, so now next is search conference. So these are like offsites where you are going to actually, I mean, bring 30-40 employees together and start brainstorming, presenting what is the current situation, what is the potentials, what we can do, and those kind of things. So this is like a conference or a group meeting where people are like, exploring what are the options that are there in the hand, right? Typically there are 2-3 days of workshop that would actually happen, where you would actually bring some 20-30 employees together and then talk about the topic. So this finishes participation. So now we are going into empowerment. Empowerment is nothing but, see, first is you asking people to actually come and join, let's together, is the participation. Here, boss, you have all the rights, all the power to do certain activity. That is empowerment, right? So employees feeling empowered can actually take their particular decisions. They have that particular required thing to drive things, right? So basically, so power to be something that can be shared by everyone in flatter and more collegial structures. So what it means is, this is like a flatter structure where employee feeling that I'm a boss means you're not in a hierarchical world. If there is a hierarchical world where there is a lot of hierarchy, mera boss hai, uska boss hai, uska boss hai, then this kind of empowerment is not a possibility. Hence, it is saying that it is generally shared within flatter and more collegial structures rather than held only at higher levels in the traditional organizational structure. So it is not just higher levels, Even lower level employees does have that particular power to do. That is what is empowerment, right? So empowerment is different from power. Power means you are actually applying your force and make people do that. Empowerment is that particular feeling people has got saying that okay, I have required thing to do it. So empowerment is different. Power is different. Power is generally one way. It is exerted in only one direction, right? So there are two types of empowerment. One is structural empowerment, the other is flexible empowerment, right? Structural empowerment provides guidelines to the employees about what exactly needs to be done. So basically what it means, you have structure. You know a particular person can do it in this way. So you have all the guidelines. So now people can use that guideline and they can do those particular things by their own. That is structured empowerment, right? And flexible empowerment is like it's at the discretion of the employee totally. So they can use whatever way that they would want to solve a problem. Okay, so that is flexible empowerment. Okay. So that is about empowerment. So obviously empowerment is going to improve a lot as far as the performance and other things are concerned, because the employee who is actually having this empowerment feels that he is in control of things, right? What are the benefits? If you are a boss, you will actually feel very positively, right? Now you have a very positive self perception, right? And it enhances motivation, motivates you, it activates problem solving, right? So basically that problem solving mentality will come when you have a feeling that I can do something, right? So that is exactly what it is going to do, right? It actually alters expectations. So so now the expectation is reverse. If something is not working, you can always tell the employee, boss, you have everything to do, you could have done it, right? Instead of employee asking back saying that company hasn't done anything to me. So so that is the benefits of empowerment. So now we are going into process of empowerment. So there are two aspects you need to enable to make somebody empowered. First, whatever conditions which are actually obstructing that employee to feel the power, you need to remove them. That is the first thing. Okay. And second thing, you need to improve their confidence, their capacity, right? So basically, that confidence needs to be filled up. So they need to feel that, yes, I can do this. If an employee doesn't have that, I can do this, even after removing the obstructions, they might really feel, I mean, they don't really take that empowered position. They will still take the back seat because they are not really capable of, or they are not confident of doing it. So they feel that they don't have capacity to do it. Okay. So these are the two things that needs to be done. One, removal of conditions or whatever the conditions which are causing the powerlessness, and the second thing is enhancing the total job self efficacy. So yes, managers play quite a big role in all these things, whether it is participation or empowerment. Managers do play quite a big role, right? And managers do cultivate leadership, communication skills, and all those things are required to do this, right? And leader should be very very focused. He cannot be authoritative leader. If it is an authoritative leader, nothing would work. So it needs to be a democratic system, right? And the rewards for people who are coming forward and taking this empowerment needs to be clear. So greater responsibility should also follow whatever the somebody took the responsibility. You need to actually follow it up with good rewards. So in order to improve this self confidence, if somebody has to feel that they have capacity to do it, there are four aspects that needs to be done. You need to actually provide required skills So if there is anything that the skill is required, you as an organization, you need to improve those particular skills. That is the first. Second is you need to actually put role models. You need to have somebody so that you could actually see and learn. You could have something to refer as such, right? The third thing is reinforcement. So you need to reward people to get that particular, I mean, so reward here doesn't mean that if somebody did a training, you actually give a job increment, not that type of a reward that we are talking about. So when somebody is learning these skills, they need to get the sense of progress. Otherwise, I would stop after reading 2 pages. I will stop saying that, boss, what is the use? I'm not getting anything out of it. Right? So when somebody is climbing up on the skills, that sense of progress is something that you will have to give in some or the other. You need to feel that, yes, earlier I was like no wise, now I know a lot in this subject. Right? So that kind of a thing we will have to probably reinforce. And the last thing that you need to do is support it. Okay. And who can be role models? Reference. Whoever is the successful and productive employee within the organization can be role model. So this is the process of enforcement. Now we are going into determinants of empowerment, right? So, so how exactly you're going to determine? Right? Thoroughly understand the nature and current environment within the organization before empowerment is introduced. So understand your organization first. So empowerment cannot be done in all cases, right? Assume that it's a military organization. Imagine what would happen. You empower your soldiers to do whatever they want in the battlefield. Everybody in a different direction. Nobody can actually guard it together, right? So empowerment would not work in certain cases. So you need to actually understand the current environment, and then you need to start the empowerment process. So it requires culture of continuous learning and support needed to develop. So basically, that support and continuous learning needs to be there, right? So there are some of the ethics or ethos that are required for environment and empowerment, which is like openness, confrontation, trust, authenticity, proaction, autonomy, um, autonomy, and collaboration, experimentation. So all these are some of the ethos of empowerment, right? And every employee doesn't take the empowerment in the same way. Some might actually, take it in a big way. Some might take less. Even if you ask somebody to take decisions, some people don't take it. Okay, so so it is not very unusual that you will find employee who is like happy in the backseat and not really, feeling like, oh yeah, taking the decision by themselves, right? So to promote empowerment, first thing is to make employee understand that they are empowered. So they need to actually understand that they are empowered and what it means to be empowered. Okay, so and having said that, you are giving freedom to all the employees, but your goals, organizational goals and strategy should be under review always, to make sure the focus is on the organization rather than anything else. It's not like you have set of individuals who are empowered and taking the decisions to actually, fill their pockets, not organization, right? So that is about the determinants. Now we are going into characteristics of empowered organization. So we talked about flat organizational hierarchy. So generally, this is where empowerment happens. Hierarchical organizations don't have the sufficient empowerment, right? It stresses on the quality of performance rather than quantity. Okay, so quality is the main aspect. Open communication. You're open with your employees, right? And given chance to make personal contribution to the task in hand. So employees who does actually do their own personal contributions as well, so that organization can be developed, right? High employee awareness in terms of individual and organizational goals. Culture is very cooperative, supportive. So all these points are self-explanatory. I will not read through. Okay, so I think people can read by themselves. None of the points are very complex, rather very self-evident. We are going to techniques of empowerment. First is open book management. What it means is you are not hiding things from employees. If you hide things, then they can't really they can't take the empowerment. They need to have everything available so that they can take the decision on their own. If things are not available, they will not be comfortable in taking the decision. So your financials, your various other aspects, whatever that they require for the empowerment that you have given, so those things needs to be there as an open book. Okay, so that is what open book management means. Job rotation, job enlargement, and job enrichment. Net to net, what we are saying is you need to have that particular things provided in the job description of the, so you need to design the job for the people so that the job is sufficiently having a control, which is enrichment is there. It does have responsibility. Okay, and at the same time it is not monotonous. If they are doing the same job again and again and again, so it becomes monotonous, and people would not get that pleasure of getting that particular empowerment, right? so so it requires the job rotation. So you need to rotate employees so that new tasks, new activity, etc. would actually keep them interested in, right? So that is what is job rotation, enlargement, and enrichment. Self-managing and cross-functional teams. So this is also very evident as far as the name is self-managing team. That means it is not being driven by anybody. Cross-functional teams are the teams which are formed to make certain uh, go towards a goal together, but they are from various units or various strengths. It is not the same people say with same strength grouping together. We are talking about various strengths people coming together and trying to make a project successful. So it could be like in a typical project, you require a database guy, you require a front end guy, you require somebody who could code, something like that, right? You are bringing from three different units, with three different skills, making them as a team and delivering certain things. And so that is what is cross-functional teams. Delegation. So manager should delegate his work to the underlying employees. If they don't delegate, right, then obviously employee cannot feel the feel that particular empowerment. So delegation is a very core aspect as far as the empowerment is concerned, right? So systematic delegation should be applied here. What is systematic delegation? What it means is you should not say that, oh yeah, do this PPT and then leave it there. You should not be delegating and leaving it. You need to still be monitoring how they are actually doing till you feel confident that they know how to do that. Delegate it, ask them to do it, and support them in increment fashion, so that they over the time they actually improve their skills and increase progressively, right? And fully they can take the responsibility. So that is systematic delegation. Okay, and involving people in policy making. So what are the roles of participants? So we completed techniques for empowerment. Okay, these are all techniques for empowerment. Now we are going into role of managers in participation and empowerment. This is one of the important questions. What is the role of manager in participation and empowerment? Because manager plays a very critical part for both participation and empowerment. If manager is not giving the work, or manager is not feeling confident to give you work, then empowerment cannot happen, right? So participation in management is highly driven by managers. So there are multiple things which resist a manager to do this. So these resistances are to be mitigated to make sure that managers are comfortable in promoting both participation and empowerment. What are those particular resistance reasons? right? So first of all, manager himself is not aware what is this participation and empowerment. He doesn't believe in it. It's a problem. Then he will not really promote participation. Second, lack of skills. He doesn't have a required skill to delegate and make people really work and those kind of things. Okay. So so he doesn't have a habit. Some people has got a habit. They cannot really delegate things. So there is an inbuilt personal what do you say personality which actually stops. So these kind of habit really stops people to actually increase participation in involvement. So fourth is insecurity. अरे मैं अपना जॉब उसको दे दिया तो मैं क्या करूंगा, मैं जॉब लूज हो जाऊंगा, मैं रिडंडेंट हो जाऊंगा. दिस इज व्हाट इज द थिंग दैट वुड एक्चुअली कम. So the insecurity, what I see is this is one of the biggest factor for managers to stop, to stop the participation in empowerment. Insecurity is one of the biggest factor. Pragmatism. Okay. So basically, where I need to involve them, where I should not involve them, I should know practically. If I involve employees in the wrong cases, I might actually do a reverse. I probably things would not go well. I should not be participating everybody in certain things. At the same time, if I keep away on the things where I could make the participation count, then it is also a problem, right? And you should also understand the individual differences. You need to know people. Saying that if I involve this person, he will actually be competent and he is also happy, right? I need to know that. So, so not everybody is same. So you need to understand individual differences, and wherever he needs to actually support, he should actually support people. So that is exactly what is the role of managers in participation and empowerment, which is a very important question. Okay, very important question. So what are the 5 leadership practices to become an effective manager? And how you can actually become an effective manager, right? So you need to actually make tasks challenging enough for the people so that they stay motivated. Okay, so employees do search for complex jobs, challenging jobs. You should be able to give that. Second, you should be able to encourage that problem solving mentality. So the experimentation, risk taking and all those things needs to be encouraged, right? And effective manager envisages shared vision, not his own vision, shared vision. Okay, and facilitate active participation among the employees, encourages them to be part of the team, supports them. He himself is a role model to the employees, right? And he should recognize if there is somebody who is actually making contribution, he should recognize that. So this is what is unit 1 of block 2. Okay, now we are going into the second unit, which is team development and teamwork. A team and teamwork. So this talks about, first thing, it talks about team. What is team? I think all of us know what is team. I don't really think we really require to discuss what is team, but we are going to discuss the differences between teams and groups, right? So, to give very brief point on what is team, I'll not go through all the points. Basically, team is somebody who is going to actually, coming together to solve or achieve certain goal, which is an organizational goal in the context of organization. And they actually combinedly solve the problem, take the decisions, and make sure that the organization go towards its own goals. Right? It is like set of individuals or members who are going to be part of this particular team. So this can be 2 types of teams: family group, special group. What is family group? it's like you have your own permanent team saying that you belong to, let's say, a unit which is of database administration, or you are actually saying that this is the unit which is doing something like, like set of teachers who are trying to deal with researchers, let's say research department. So only job that you're going to do is you're going to actually do research for your company, research and development. So it is like a permanent team where you have your own structure. So you will have like research head, and under him some manager, and under him set of researchers. So the unit would have some structure. There is actually a superior managers and all those stuff. What is special group? So this is when you need to solve certain things or do certain tasks. Organization might bring up a particular team instantaneously. Like once upon a time when there was actually a issue that happened during Kargil or whatever it is, there is a set government did a special group to actually go and discuss with Pakistan, right? So there is a special group headed by Vajpayee. Vajpayee was an opposition leader during that time, who actually went to Pakistan, or rather report against Pakistan in UN. So there is a special group that India prepared to answer things in UN. So it is to tackle a particular task. So in that situation, group that was accumulated. So PV Narasimha was the prime minister. Vajpayee was actually the opposition leader, but PV Narasimha made Vajpayee as the leader of that particular special group. So he thought, why Vajpayee? Because he thought Vajpayee does have more convincing skills. He can go and talk in UN. So hence he made him as a leader. Similarly, Vajpayee would have accumulated some MPs, some MLAs from various parties, not just from BJP during that time. Right. So it is a group which is a diverse group, which was even some IAS officers might be there. So it is a diverse group which was tasked to do a specific task. So that is the special group. Okay. So, and as soon as that particular task is done, team is dispersed. This is not a permanent structure. Right. So this is what is about the team. Now we are going to talk about differences between team and groups. So what is group? Right? Group means it is just that you have set of people which might not really be having a common goal towards an employee, I mean, to a particular organization or anything like that, right? So you have some commonalities. That is why you formed a group. Okay. So every individual wants to be part of that group because you feel that there is some commonality between you. Okay. So here there is an accountability aspect which is mutual as well when it comes to team. So there is an agreement in case of team where, oh yeah, we are towards common goal. I have common goal, but I also have timelines under which I need to do, right? And I also have a very specific achievements which are being calculated, and I have expectations from the other team members as well. In case of team, in case of group, there are no expectations, explicit expectation, right? So both individual collective contributions would really happen. When it comes to team, there is a commitment which is the main part which needs to be underlined, and the expectation is individual and also mutual. So you do have expectations here, right? That is the main difference between team and group. Okay, so there are 4 stages as far as the team. Now we are going into stages of team development. So there are 4 stages that really happens in a team development activity. One is forming. This is where you are bringing the team together, right? So first of all, this is the stage of forming a team. Second is storming. what you are doing, you are doing a brainstorming exercise, you are arguing with people, saying that boss, this is what we want to do together, this is not what we want to do. Okay, and we are going to make him the leader, you are the manager, or you are going to do this task, he is going to do this task. All that brainstorming and planning exercise is going to happen during the storming stage. Next is norming. Now based on the name itself you can judge what is norming. Norming, we talked about norm as the term, right? It is used in multiple places. Norm is nothing but that inbuilt concept which is there in the mind as a culture or whatever it is, that is norm, right? It is the normal thing which is something which is guiding people. Norming, so basically here what you are doing, you are setting up ground rules, you are setting norms, where you are saying that okay, yes, every week I'm going to meet, the entire team will actually tell what is the progress, right? And as soon as you are done with the task, go and update Jira. You send a mail saying that I am done with this work so that the others can pick it up, something like that. So there are certain norms which you establish, that is norming. So now this is where you frame the base framework. Next, last in general is performing. Okay, where this is the time where people are doing the job. So you formed, you stormed, you set the norms, and now you are performing. Okay, so these are the four common stages of a team development, right? There is fifth stage as well. This generally happens only in case of temporary teams, where you are adjourning, you are dispersing the team. Now temporary team is formed, it goes to forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourned, gone, disappeared, right? So that is what these are the five stages. Whereas adjourning might not be a common stage for a permanent team, it is only for temporary team, right? We talked about special group, which is a temporary team, it would go through this adjourning as well. So now we are going into types of teams. We have problem solving teams. Why you are forming a team here? To solve a problem, right? Quality circle is an example of problem solving team. They are forming a team to solve quality related problem. Cross functional team, right? So this is what we talked about, getting experts from various departments and forming a group to execute a project, for example, right? So it is cross functional teams. Self-managing teams, these are the teams who can work independently, they don't require any other entity from outside the team, no external supervision required, so they can manage by themselves. Virtual team, okay, so this is a new concept, work from home. So there is no real team working in the same location, we have team split across the world and still working together, but we are in different locations doing our job in our different time zones, right? But still working towards one particular aspect. So this is virtual team. So I mean, we have a lot of virtual teams now in this particular remote working case. Earlier, this was not a very usual scenario, but now it is actually a very, very usual scenario. Okay, so now that is about types of teams. Okay, so we defined the team, we talked about types of the team, we talked about stages of the team development. Okay, so now we are going towards team activities. So what are the various activities team does? I think this is very, very self-explanatory as far as these things are concerned, right? Advising. Okay, so it's basically, I mean, so they might actually understand the problem and do some advising as a team. Okay, innovating, they might actually combine, I mean, they can innovate together. They might be a team to promote a particular product, they might be a team to develop something, right? Or a team that could organize, team that could be producing certain things, team that is formed for inspecting, team that is formed for maintaining, right? Team that is formed for linking. This is the only probably a section which I would say that might require any explanation. So these are very very evident. Okay. So advising, innovating, promoting, developing, organizing, producing, inspecting, maintaining. And one more aspect is linking. So here we are talking about teams which are actually bridging the gap between two different groups. So it might be like, let's say, for example, to give an example, let's say, so one group might be solving defects which are coming in a particular system or a Jira or whatever it is, let's say, right? But people who are finding the defect, they don't have access to this Jira. So you might form a small group who could actually receive the call from the people who are finding the defect and put those particular defects into this particular Jira, right? So it is like a linking group. They are linking two groups and they themselves is actually a team. So that is what is this particular linking. Okay. So they are like serving a function which actually, doing the handshake between two different groups, basically. These are the people who are enabling that handshake. Okay, so this is what we actually learned is various team activities, what typically team does. That is what team activities are. So now we are talking about how to create a high performance team, right? So first thing to create a high performance team, you need to set those standards high. You need to have team meeting. You need to create that urgency. When you say create that urgency, people need to understand what is the urgency to achieve the goal, how important the goal is, those kind of things. You need to set clear rules, norms, right? And there should be a frequent meeting that needs to happen. You need to have people with right skill in your team. You need to actually, if there is no right skill, you need to provide training and make sure they have right skill, right? While they are doing, you need to support, you need to give feedback. When they do it right, you need to give reward. So there are around 10 things which are part of this creating high performance teams. So now we are going into, so that ends the first part, which is team part. So this is the majority part of this particular entire section. So now we are going into smaller part, which is another thing, which is teamwork, right? So we already talked about what team does, right? So this is about the same aspect. This is like work that is, what is teamwork? It is work, combined work done by this particular group, right? So it is the actions that this entire group does. That is what is teamwork, right? What could be various problems to do this effective teamwork, right? So there are around 11 problems that could be there, but if you actually crunch them, they fall under 6 categories. Category 1 is goals. So for teams to get the proper teamwork done, the goal might be an issue, or else people who are there in your team might be an issue. 3, the rules that you set for the team, saying that we are going to meet only once in a week or twice in a day or whatever it is. These rules, norms could be a problem. 4th, the overall decision making. There is nobody, everybody is talking, there is no decision making that is done. That could be an issue. 5th, leadership could be an issue, or size. Maybe whatever your size is too small to do a particular goal or reach a goal, or your team is too big to handle, right? So the sizing is another aspect. Broadly, these are the 6 categories. If you go into deep, these 11, whatever that are there, would fall under one or the above categories, right? So what is this? Changing composition. Let's say frequently people are flying away from your organization by resigning, or they are actually going into some other team, etc., etc. If there is a frequent change in your team, you can't really achieve teamwork, right? And there is a fight between the team members. There is no communication that is happening between the team members. Okay, and there is social loafing. What is social loafing? Basically, it is like you are trying to. I mean, you're not trying to put your best. You're trying to escape certain things, right? So Shrival is the best person to answer what is social loafing. Our project topic is social loafing. Okay, so inappropriate. Um, so she did some analysis on how social loafing works and what is the relationship between this fourth point and fifth point. So basically, leadership style, social loafing are the things that she connected. So obviously, leadership would also have an impact as far as your teamwork is concerned, right? And your size of the team matters. Your role requires a clarity. You need to have trust, right? And you can't have one or the other employee totally dominating rest of the people. The other people would not come, right? People doesn't have motivation, right? And there is a disagreement between the team members. So these are some of the problems that could affect a teamwork. So, so in order to actually, so we are talking about interventions, right? So there are three types of interventions which are possible. So what is an intervention we talked about, right? When something goes wrong, you put up some activity to correct it. If something goes wrong because the role clarity is not there, you are going to bring something called as a role analysis technique, where you are going to analyze what is the role structure that you have within the team, whether there are clear expectations, specific duties are known or not, etc., etc. So basically here you are analyzing your roles and responsibilities that you have within the team. Second is family group diagnostic meeting. So what is family group? We already talked about. What is family group? It is a permanent group which is going to be there. Special group is the temporary group, right? So here within the family group, whether you are actually doing enough problem finding, are you actually, having like a permanent structure which could actually do rather which is trying to understand how the things really work. What is the goal of your permanent group? What in case of temporary group, having goal as a problem is very, very less. But with family group, goals could be a problem, right? How team dynamics are working. So this is like you are diagnosing your family group, your permanent group, permanent team. Right now, this is again on the family group where you are trying to mitigate if there is any interpersonal or team issues. So basically you are trying to do team building within your permanent group, okay, so that effectiveness of your team really increases. So this completes unit 2 as well. Okay, so any pause required?
Yeah, I was actually about to ask if we can take 5 minutes